Hey everybody, it's your girl Bunny. To all of my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Kick your feet up, subscribe to this family-friendly channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. Also follow me on Instagram at the same profile name so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. In this video, it's Insecure Season 5, Episode 4, entitled Faulty. Okay. I give a full episode recap with photos offset to the side, and then I give my review at the end. No need to dig around. I have all of the minute marks in the comments. It's all coming up next. It's the beach with fun, the sun, and the Clips celebrating their company anniversary, along with some networking for future customers. Nate assures guests that food is on the way, but stay occupied with drinks and volleyball. The rest of the staff arrives, and they're slightly worried about the barbecue that was supposed to arrive. Molly, Kelly, and Issa arrive, and Molly is excited about her new dating life. She's even enjoying some more sex. It's still awkward energy between Issa and Nate, but the ladies agree that she should talk to him to make sure things are still cool. Issa notices how Crenshaw on Instagram placed a curious emoji under the Block's 3 event partnership with nothing but water. Molly tells her just to ignore it, and Crenshaw's success is all due to Issa's hard work and exposure. The crew meets up with Nate and the rest of his buddies, and as estimated, the vibe is weird between Nate and Issa. Arik introduces himself to everyone and encourages Kelly and Molly to go with him to get some drinks. Issa tries to make small talk with Nate, but it's awkward, and Nate just says that maybe he should just continue to host the event. The ladies want Issa to have a drink and loosen up. Stop thinking about Nate, stop thinking about the event with Crenshaw, and just relax. To keep the tempo going, Arik suggests that everybody play a game of spades, guys versus girls. As everybody has fun playing spades, Issa notices Nate help Risha fix her sandal, and Issa is slightly worried about if they're having sex. Are they having sex? Yeah, they're having sex. No. They couldn't be having sex. Yeah, they're having sex. Risha is excited to see Issa from afar and even waves to her to come over and say hi. Anyone with eyes can see that Risha has an amazing body, and it makes everybody feel a little bit uncomfortable. Risha is so excited and has her bubbly personality and strips down and proceeds to hit the ocean. Issa checks to see if Nate is okay and if they're still friends. And Nate confirms that his feelings are still the same and everything is cool. Food arrives, but his coworker brought pizza instead of the promised barbecue. There's a small earthquake and Nate drops all the pizza. The city's officials and lifeguards announce that the beach is now closed due to a possible tsunami. The coworker has no trouble with picking off the sand-dusted pizza and runs into the water. But Nate announces to everybody leaving that they're going to a local bar and the drinks are on the shop. Issa suggests that the ladies can go somewhere else. They don't have to go to the next spot, but Molly wants to see what's up with Johnny and Arik. As the fellas load up to go to the next spot, Arik wonders about Molly and the potential hookup. Wouldn't it be weird if he hooked up with his girl's girl? But Nate says that Issa's not his girl. She's all over the place. Nate is more pissed that Issa called him over just to cuddle, then later had the nerve to show up today, asking, "Are we still friends?" He vents about the night that he came over. She cried on his shoulder. I mean, what was I supposed to do? But Arik points out that maybe she trusted you enough to cry on your shoulder, and maybe you allowed her to get into that friend zone. Also, if Issa really wasn't that into him, she wouldn't come and support him at every given event. The ladies ride over to the next spot, and Issa views a response from Crenshaw that Issa is a fraud and all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Koya is just as pissed and vents to Issa. Issa wants to stay chill about it and say nothing about the post and just to stay focused. They're getting paid now as salaried employees, and they shouldn't get upset. Issa isn't digging the driver, and Molly is just as annoyed by Kelly and Risha's conversation. Issa reports that Nate was very standoffish when she tried to have conversation with him, and maybe he's just with Risha. Molly wants to get right to the questioning and just stop wondering and ask Risha straight up, "Are you and Nate having something going on?" But Risha says, "No, I mean, he's like a brother to me, but do you want me to hook that up?" And Molly says, "No, girl, I'll circle back around if I'm still interested." And as a sarcastic response, Meanwhile, she tells Issa, well, they're not messing with each other. Molly encourages her that if she wants more with Nathan, maybe you should do something about it. Everyone arrives to the next spot, and it's obvious that Arik and Johnny are clearly battling for Molly's attention. Nate buys Issa a drink, and the tough conversation begins. From the conversation, Nate says that he left because the situation was awkward and Issa wanted him to stay. It's the confusion of expectations and what each person expected from that night. Before they can get into a deep conversation, Nate's cousin Thomas arrives along with his wife, Velma. It's weird tension between Velma and Nate, and he finds it very difficult to say hello to her. Issa is surprised to even learn that Nate has family in the state, but Thomas quickly changes the subject to keep the positive vibes going. Conversations continue, and Nate and his cousin reminisce about Houston and how they used to party all the time, and everything was cool until Nate abandoned him. It's a habit that Velma co-signs, that he just up and leaves with no warning. Issa throws a compliment his way to acknowledge that he encouraged her to follow her dreams and develop some roots. Nate convinces Issa to go to a party later, and Johnny wants to go, but he's got to get home to his cat, Mr. Jingles. Molly whispers to Issa that he's focused on the wrong cat and decides to roll with Arik instead. Kelly and Risha are having an emotional breakthrough. They're gonna stay and have more taquitos. Velma tells Thomas to just chill with the fellas and she'll go back home to relieve the sitter. Everyone packs an Uber, and Issa gets a Twitter alert from Crenshaw that Issa mistake to work with fake people. #fakes, #facts. Koya begins to reply, ignoring Issa's suggestions, but then Issa responds saying, "You're doing the most. This is a weird way of saying thank you for all of the exposure. I got you." Koya then sends Issa a text exclaiming, "What did you do?" Issa has made a mistake of, instead of texting Koya, she's replied directly to Crenshaw. Koya says that not to worry, the internet has a short attention span and let the hype die down. And if it doesn't, that she'll dead the situation. Molly checks in on Issa and confirms that all is well, it's just work stuff. Arik updates that the party is at capacity and he only can bring in one person, so he brings in Molly. Molly tells everyone as soon as she gets the scoop on the back door that she'll let everybody in. Everybody heads to the party, but Thomas heads home. Nate wants to know why he's leaving so early, and he accustoms that to Velma keeping him on a tight leash, not allowing him to go home, and also kicking him out when he had nowhere else to stay. But Thomas then releases the truth. It was him who didn't want Nate to stay. He didn't feel comfortable with Nate leaving and coming around randomly, leaving the door unlocked, and he was just exhibiting bad behavior. Thomas says, "Hey man, I had kids and Velma just didn't want me to confront you. And we both felt that maybe we should just put all the blame on her and she would do all of the dirty work. It wasn't Velma that wanted you to go." He tells Nate that he wants to talk to him more and this shouldn't be their last conversation. But he has to leave because his lift has arrived. Issa tells him that, hey, Molly has a back door in on the party and you know that Mo is already in there having a good time. But Nate says that he needs a moment just to be alone. After he walks by himself, Issa can't leave him alone and wants to check to see if everything is okay. Nate tells Issa that he was a manic when he lived with Thomas and Velma, and he wasn't aware of his behavior at the time, and they have no idea that he's a manic depressant. He hasn't talked to them since he left. Nate just says that all he wanted to do was just show them how far he's come and that he's totally different than the way he was before. Issa explains that, hey, I'm the same way and I wish people could understand me too. And those tears that happened that night, it wasn't you. It came from me being overwhelmed from everything that happened from the year before. She's afraid to get her hopes up about being involved with certain people. And the truth is that she wants to be more than just friends with Nate. And he tells her that he wants to be more than friends as well. And Nate and Issa finally have a long-awaited kiss. And another earthquake happens. And that is the end of the episode. And now it is time for your favorite part of the video. That's right, my review. So another amazing episode. It's just so heartbreaking that we only have 30 minutes. Oh, it's just doing something to me where I'm just like, when it gets to the crust of these wonderful conversations and dialogue, it's over and they're running the credits. I'm like, wait, what? I'm just getting comfortable on the couch and really getting into depth with my popcorn and my lemon water. Like, why is it going off? It's just, let's just breathe and just realize that this series is going to be over with a few more episodes. And we have so many questions and so many things. This is curiosity of, are they going to give the crescendo of all of the storylines mid-season or at the end of the season? I don't know. The curiosity is just doing something to me. Okay, so let's talk about one of the issues at hand. Crenshaw and his feelings and what he's tweeting and posting on Instagram and all this other stuff. Let's just talk about the business side of it. You know, it's this emotion of like, wow, you know, how could you? I can't believe that you would say something about that after I worked my butt off, you know, fought for you, got you the exposure that you're needing. But Crenshaw is upset because he felt like he was censored, right? He felt like as an artist, that she was the person that did the dirty work and bringing the bad news, that we got to cut this, we got to cut that. And then he went rogue and did what he wanted to do with the show. Okay, so I understand why Crenshaw is upset, but let's talk about business-wise why this is wrong, right? It's upsetting that Issa may get the backfire from that because she responded with emotion. Like, how could you say something like that after all the exposure that we got you? And then that's mixed in with the new agreement, right? The new promotion that she has with the company. It's like she's stepping on a lot of shoes at the same time, unfortunately. Do I handle this as a person, or am I supposed to be silent about the situation? Based upon emotion on Issa's behalf and Koya's behalf, it's going to be a learning process. Either one of two things are going to happen. Either they're going to reach out to Issa and Koya and say, okay, hey, no more responses. We're just going to let him vent as a company or as a dual company. These are our parameters or policies based upon responses to social media. Or they're going to have her back, right? And just say, everything's cool. Just don't say anything additionally. Or it's going to backfire and they're going to say, hey, if this is the way that you're going to respond to people in the future, we don't want to be involved. And that's going to be something that's just like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do about that? And it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. So it's this dual understanding of why both parties are upset, but it's the business part of it that we're going to have to worry about. Even if Issa, right, is disciplined with maybe them pulling the contract and them not being salaried workers anymore, and they have the 3-event partnership done, Crenshaw may be able just to keep forward and keep going. But a lot of it may backfire on his end as well. People can probably reach out and say, okay, man, what are you upset about specifically? Give us an example about why the block or Issa specifically is this terrible person. Maybe people want details about why do you feel that way. Right. So I just hope we find out what happens with that storyline. But it's also showing us a lot of things. The business side of it. Are you supposed to disconnect yourself from personal things that people may say about you? He didn't say the block. He did, you know, specifically the companies telling her to censor it. He immediately put all of the blame on Issa, which was really unfair when she basically told him that, hey, they're not cool with the drum part. They're not cool with this part, you know, and he blew it all in her face, you know. So I'm just really, really eager to find out what are going to be the effects and aftermaths of that whole post, because it was very unprofessional of him to do that. Maybe some people may reach out and say Crenshaw is terrible to work with. You know, I don't know. But as the audience, these are good topics to discuss on, are we splitting the responsibility when it comes to the backlash that may happen to what Crenshaw said? And also, would it be best if she had the responsibility, Issa, and just maybe it just being a business page and just removing her personal thoughts or whatever from the page completely? As an entrepreneur, it's showing that these are very important, critical business decisions that you have to make when it comes to your business in making those decisions and saying, am I going to respond as a person or am I going to respond as a business? And what's going to be the aftermath of those decisions? We see a lot of celebrities and a lot of companies. We don't see their personal attachment to the page. It's just saying, hey, this is the business endeavor. This is the wins, the wheres, the whys. This is the website where you can buy, and they're done. And then some people are just saying, hey, I own this company. This is my company. I can say or do whatever I want. But in this situation, Issa has combined herself, the block, and you know what I'm saying, the new water company. So I hope she doesn't get the backlash of that. I hope they, kind of give her the heads up about saying, hey, this is not how we do things. But then again, there are other companies. If it does fall through, maybe she can learn as an entrepreneur. I don't need you. I can have other people that I can talk to. I don't know, y'all. There's so many different ways this can go. And we only have so many episodes. It's just crushing me. Okay, moving back on. Let's talk about mental health and family. With everybody who watched last season, when Nate disappeared and, later we found out he had mental health issues and he was learning how to deal with that. And we finally get to see a family member and him trying to move on and he trying to be positive. And he made a decision based upon family arrangements and his behavior that, hey, maybe it's best that you don't live here anymore. Okay. And Velma being the person and saying, hey, I don't care. If it's me, I'll say it. I don't want there to be any conflict between two men, between two cousins. I'd rather him hate me than to hate you. If you have a spouse or a loved one, it's understandable that you would say, you see your loved one very saddened or upset by something someone else is doing. So in order to be the protector, you don't care if you're the bad guy. You don't care if you're thrown under the bus because you just want the situation controlled. And that's what Velma did. And she was more concerned with Thomas's well-being, her husband, than saying, okay, this is something y'all are family. Y'all can maybe work it out later. And then also pointing out negative behavior that he's had, right? Oh, that's what he does. He abandons people. He just leaves, right? That moment of reflection that Nate had was kind of like, wow, I can't believe I used to act like that, And it's very hurtful. What the writing does is it shows us that it's very hurtful to hear about your past behaviors. Nate's like, hey, that's not me anymore. I'm not going to abandon you if that's what you think. But people can only go off of what you give them. If you've shown me your colors as a person who just abandons all the time, has this crazy behavior, you want to act crazy at parties, then that's all I have to go on, And so him hearing that and hearing how crazy he used to be and things that he used to do, it was very hurtful. But at the same time, it was something that he needed to hear. But at the same time, it should also give him reflection and saying, wow, I went through all of that, but I made it. I was able to, continue as a barber and have a good team at the new barbershop and all sorts of stuff. So it's kind of like bittersweet that he's, had a diagnosis to his mental health, that he's a better person, that he, that he's changed the path from what he was doing before. But the next step is, Issa says, do they know? And he's like, no, they don't know, I was a manic, they don't know that. But he needs to communicate that. He needs to communicate that because that will allow him to have a better relationship with his cousin, because they talked about how much fun they used to have. They love each other as cousins. We used to play basketball all the time, listen to music and go to parties and all. So they care and they love each other. And I think it was very big of Thomas and Velvet to show up, because they could have just said, we don't want to have nothing to do with him. He, after all this time, he left, he was acting like that, lived with us when we had kids. And now he going to invite me to the event, but they were open and forgiving, and sitting there and supporting him despite what happened in the past. So they truly do care for him. So the next step with Nate in being responsible in this situation is being accountable for his actions and apologizing to both Thomas and Velma. So since we only have so much time in this season and it's 30 minutes, what that writing allows for the viewer to understand, because they're not going to be able to cover every single thing, I don't think, unless they do a montage of several scenes that show us a fast forwarding of time and how the characters will eventually evolve into the future, giving us some type of closure of how it will continue, right? So we can conclude that if we don't see Thomas apologize to Velma and all this other stuff. We'll probably either see a montage scene of him visiting them. There's no words, it's just music, and we seeing him visit more. Or it could be, left open up to the audience to say, well, it's highly likely that he got things right with his family. Now, Molly, this is a new chill Molly, right? Molly is just finally understanding that, girl, it's okay to just chill and kick it, okay? Doesn't have to be that serious. You're chilling it, you're kicking it, you're dating, you're getting some sex. I mean, hey, I thought it was very ironic and weird how Johnny said, I'll have to go home and feed my cat. You can meet him if you want to. And she's like, telling Issa he's focused on the wrong cat. But I'm like, girl, don't you have a doggy too? You have a doggy. I mean, you eventually have to go home and feed your doggy and tend to that, right? So, girl, it's like she's still, Molly, you know what I mean? But she made the decision. She was ready to get some poking. You know what I'm saying? She was ready to get poked. So she was just trying not to waste time. Like, I'm having fun. I'm dating, whatever, which is cool to see. Not saying that she wasn't having fun before, but it's kind of like it's really not the seriousness involved in it. She's finally realizing, hey, if I'm going to go out and have fun and have some sex, okay, it is what it is. So, it's a new turn of events for her. Kelly, on the other hand, I think she's just having a lot of breakdowns with stuff. She said, oh, Nate left you like my dad left me. It's kind of like, girl, it's some deep-rooted stuff for Kelly. And I mentioned that in a lot of the reviews for season 4, that it eventually was going to catch up to Kelly, how everybody thinks that she's a joke and doesn't take her seriously when it comes to those certain things. Kelly says very deep, dark things in the midst of laughter, and it's like people don't know how to handle that, and people don't know how to talk to her about it. And those are those situations where, as a viewer, you have to say, are we helping our strong friends? Are we helping our friends that always have a smile on their face and are always happy? Because Kelly seems to be that person. She's always doing the most for Tiffany and making sure she's there for her and doing all this other stuff and trying to be the godmom. But at the same time, Kelly is struggling and dealing with a lot. And hopefully there's some sort of insight about her character. And if it's not, as the viewers and as the season closes, it's really not too much we can complain about, because she's not a main core character. You know what I mean? She's associated with the core characters. So if we don't get into depth about her, it's actually, kind of like, okay. And as the audience, we can kind of estimate our own conclusion about her and what she'll do about that. Issa and Nate have finally had that tough conversation about how they feel emotionally. I thought it was hilarious when Issa saw him and Risha, together and talking, and she's like, are they together? Are they having sex? Are they whatever? If you're questioning that, it's kind of like that moment where you're like, okay, clearly if you've developed this sort of jealousy and curiosity about what he's doing with somebody else, clearly you have deeper feelings than that, right? But who can blame her? She was trying to rekindle things with Lawrence and give that a chance, and then that whole bit happened with Condola. Like, I get it. It's like, okay, let me fight for something that I know and somebody that I without a doubt have love for. And Nate and his behavior and disappearing, how about it's Issa? No. You know what I'm saying? But with everything going on in their lives and situations, right, their love has rekindled. I shouldn't, I don't know if it's safe to say love, but the curiosity and the potential in each other has grown, and they have to kiss and they've developed that. And it's just like, okay, what if Lawrence, blank, blank, blank. It's like this ping pong back and forth. And I think Issa has finally made that decision, even though she told him, hey, she really didn't say anything. And, Lawrence was just like, I know. He concluded that whatever they were developing was done because of the Condola situation. But it's kind of like really, really putting a stamp on we're done. You know what I mean? Like, it's over. And that hurt from that is still lingering there. It's still subsiding there. And as we saw in the previous episode, how Lawrence is dealing with his new living situations and new lifestyles. I really do like how certain episodes are dedicated to certain people, just so we can glimpse of the emotional connection. But what do you think about it? What do you think about Nate and Issa? Do you think that, I mentioned in last season that when you get involved with someone and you're really putting your foot in into becoming involved with this person and taking it seriously, you take on their baggage, you take on their lifestyle, you take on, etc. Right? So it seems like Issa is very being acceptable to knowing he has an issue with mental health, that he's taking care of it. But in her back of her mind, is she thinking about those abandonment issues? And I think the issue is no. I think she's acceptable to that, and she's understanding, because as Thomas and Velma was just like, yeah, he abandoned me. Oh, yeah, that's something he does. Issa stepped in and defended him. So it was this defense of, yeah, he has that flaw, but at the same time, we connected, and he, helped me to be encouraged and develop my own business and develop some roots and da-da-da-da-da. So that lets you know right there that he knows from that point that she's accepting. And she said that too, that he was like, I can't change the way you feel about me. And she was like, well, it wasn't about you that night. I had a lot on my mind. It was a lot, so communication is key. It's true key when it comes to moments in life with family. I encourage you all, if there's been a situation with family and friends where it's just this underlying issue of you ignoring each other, not talking to each other, and you have a good relationship, right? But it's just an incident that kind of messed that up. Reach out to that person, right? One of you has to be the person who makes that first step and saying, hey, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about that. Do that, because life is short. And we saw how happy Nate was with Thomas and them laughing and him feeling like he had family. They needed each other. They enjoyed each other's company, and Velma knew that. No, you go ahead. I'll get back with the sitter. You have fun, right? So if somebody's important to you in your life, fight for it. Things deserve to be fought for. And you could be doing yourself a disservice not talking to somebody because of an unfortunate miscommunication, or maybe you're not the same person you used to be and you've changed and you want to display that to that next person. There's no harm in at least trying. And I think that the writers wanted to communicate that. At least that's what I got from it, along with everything else that I've been saying, that Molly needs to relax and not take things so seriously. We're seeing a full circle of characters evolving, and it's beautiful to see that with this season. Let me know what you think. I cannot wait to read your comments below. Make sure that you like this video. Please like this video and share this channel with family and friends. Also, check out, you guys, tomorrow on November 16th, we have the final episode of the season for Queen Sugar. So make sure that you check that out. I can't wait for the cliffhanger that they're going to leave us with, because of course there's going to be another season, but I just can't wait how they're going to end it. It's driving me crazy. All this waiting stuff is just driving me insane. And also make sure that you check out Queens on ABC, and also that debuts on Hulu. So check that out. It's a wonderful show. It's a show that I've said that I thought that it was going to be cheesy and whack, but it's actually really good and entertaining. I don't know how far along the storyline is just going to keep building. It's like a building script, a building plot, kind of like a How to Get Away with Murder thing, where we're getting bits and pieces of story each episode, and we get more insight about really what happened, So make sure that you check that out as well. I'm super excited about that. If you haven't watched either of the shows, you do know that you can go in the playlist and binge watch it all. So you can just catch up and get to know everything. There's so much more that I've put in the pinned comment, as well as recommended shows. But there's more than that in the playlist. We have comedic skits, official bunny comedy. We have pop culture and politics debates in the playlist Let's Talk category. So make sure that you check that out if you need some good stuff to listen to and just chillax, and you know that it's family friendly. You don't have to worry about anything vulgar. But there is a show, Handmaid's Tale, that has a slight, vulgarity in it. But, of course, I've watered it down to where if you're listening to it and, there's kids around, that you don't have to worry about that. But check out those shows that are out of your, your comfort zone as well. Check out The Handmaid's Tale, which is absolutely just wonderful. They've been nominated over 13 times for Emmys and have won so many of them, and I see why. Check out the Emmy nominated Wu-Tang, An American Saga, which was on Hulu. That original series that just ended last week. Check it out. Check it all out. We have Star Trek Picard. There's so much more that you can watch, you guys. I love you all. Take care of yourself and each other. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram as well, so you don't miss the sneak peeks about what's coming up next. And that's about it. Take care of yourself and each other, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.